Tov. Today's Daf is Daf Samach Beis. In Baba Kamas, we learn for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael and Sunnah Server Shivya. We're about the 10th line down on the page. Amarava. Hanosen dinner zov leisha. Now, it could be anybody, but the Farshim say, why did it say leisha? It could have been a man too. Just means that usually it's a man gives money to a woman, maybe to marry her for whatever reason, but it doesn't have to be an isha, it could be anybody. And also a man gives a golden dinar to a woman, but he told her, he's zoribo, be careful with it. Shel kaspu, it's made out of silver, be careful with it. Now, it was really gold. Gold's worth more than silver. So if she damaged it purposely, she has to pay the full amount, even though he told her it's silver, be careful. Why did you damage it? I asked you to watch it, to guard it. I deposited with you. You were going to guard it for me. Why did you, on purpose, you went and you damaged it? She has to pay the full value, even though he said it's made out of silver. But she damaged it on purpose. And here's an important Rashi. Rashi in the narrow lines, about 5-6 lines down in the narrow line, says, it's not like the case we had above, a few lines above at the end of yesterday's daf, where we learned on this page that if a person lends somebody a field to stack their grain there, and he said you can not their wheat, you can stack your barley, and he stacked wheat, and we said over there he only has to pay for the barley because that's what I told you about. The maver l'masif yadam. Here he says an interesting thing. The other day we saw that isho mishum chetzio, that when you light a fire, that's like throwing an arrow. It's like shooting an arrow, shooting a gun. It's your koach. Nafkamina would be that it's not like your animal that went and did damage because your animal doesn't have to pay tsari pushevis and boshes. Whereas if you shot an arrow or lit a fire and hurt somebody, you have to pay tsari pushevis and boshes. So there we saw that lighting a fire is similar to shooting a gun. It's your action. But here we say that it's not exactly the same, because in that case where I lent you a field to make a pile of barley, and you put a pile of wheat, which was more expensive, and it burnt down, I only have to pay for the soren. Mavir burning is not damaging with my hand. Now we just said that isho is mishum chetzio, right? We saw that it's like your arrow. So is your fire like your action or not? Well, the difference apparently is if you don't say it's two different mandamrim, is that fire is like shooting an arrow, shooting a gun. It is your action which caused it, but it's not like you're physically taking it with your hands and destroying it like this woman did. This woman took a coin and destroyed it physically with her hands. Rashi goes on to say, when you burn, it's not you actually doing it with your hands. You're negligent. The fire went out by itself, meaning, it's like dropping a bomb, shooting an arrow, doing something like that. It's your action, but it's not directly the work of your hands. It's not the same as breaking something with your hands. So there's the difference there that Rashi's making, that fine-tuned difference. So here he says, he gave her a coin, and he gave her a gold coin, and he said, look, it's made out of silver. If she damaged it on purpose, she has to pay full value of the gold. Why did you purposely damage it? Pasha, but if she was negligent, she just didn't guard it properly, because she could say to him, I guarded it, with silver. Silver's worth a lot less than gold. So I had just one of the kids guarded it, a young kid, a 15-year-old. I didn't have a drinks guard with a gun and all that in there. I only had a minimal guard. She said, I guarded it for silver. The Davalo Kabila, I didn't agree to guard a golden one and say a golden one's worth $1,000. I agreed. I wouldn't agree to guard something that expensive. So when you gave me a gold coin and you say, be careful with it because it's silver, I guarded it for silver, not for gold. So the difference would be if I damage it, she damaged it on purpose, you have to pay the full value. If she damaged it by being careless and not guarding it, not taking the proper precautions, she only has to pay for the silver. You just said this in the name of Rava. Amar Rava, he said. So Rav Mordechai said to Rav Ashi, you learned it in the name of Rava. I was able to deduce that same halacha from the brisa that we just had above about lending your field. It says if I lend you my field to pile up barley, and you piled up wheat and covered it up with barley, or sar the reverse, but barley covered up with wheat, and a mashalme de sar bavad. You only have to pay for the sar alma or malay. The owner of the field who says you can make your pile here could say, listen, Amalei, the tirusa de sabakil, I only guarded it for barley, which is worth a lot less. I only had a minimal guard, minimal precautions. Achanami Amalei, she could also say the tirusa davalakil, just like you said, I wasn't going to guard it. Wheat, I didn't know it was wheat. Wheat's a lot more expensive. I wouldn't have. I didn't have enough guards to guard the wheat. I had enough guard. I guarded it with enough of a degree to cover barley. And maybe today you'd say you only insured it for barley, not for wheat. The same way I guarded it for the silver, she could say, and not for the gold. Amarav. So Rav says like this. Shamas Milsa Rav Yehuda. I heard something that Rav Yehuda said. I'm not sure what it was. I heard something, some new chiddush that they said in the name of Rav Yehuda. Now, Rav Yehuda was the one who said that your chayiv eish is chayiv on Talmud. That if you light a fire and it goes to somebody else's yard, you have to pay even for what's hidden. Amar Shmuel, Abba Mashmile Rav Yehuda. So Shmuel said to Rav, whose name was Abba, or they called him Abba out of respect, Abba, you don't know what they said in the name of Yehuda? The Machayev on this Kitam Deish, Rav Yehuda is the one who says that you have to pay for hidden things in a fire. Right? If you light a fire, you're not only responsible for what's exposed, but even for what's hidden. I'll tell you the halacha that they said in Rav Yehuda's name regarding this. Asu takanas nigzel be'isho. They made a takana like the takana for a nigzel, a person whose items were stolen from him, be'isho, also in the case of fire. What do we mean by that? Minat Torah, any shvur that you take is to absolve you of responsibility. I swear that I wasn't negligent, that I'm not going to pay. I swear that moda b'mikzas, right? I owe you the other part. I owe you. You told me I owe you $100. I say I owe you 25, and the other 75. I swear that I don't owe you. You swear in order to absolve you of payment or responsibility. You don't swear to collect. However, the rabbi said there are certain cases when you do swear to collect. For example, a manager. That's not like today when everything is computerized. In those days, a man had 100 workers out in the field. Comes Friday or whatever, the end of the month, he had to pay them. So if one of the workers says I didn't get paid, he swears and collects the money. Why? Because the owner is paying 100 different people. He doesn't remember who he paid, who he didn't pay. He could get confused. But the man himself was supposed to be paid. He knows he didn't get any money. It's more likely that he knows. Therefore, he can swear to collect. That's only drabanan. Another halacha, they said, if a man said that something was stolen from me, we don't know how much it was. Rashi, take a look at Rashi, about 10 lines from the bottom of the page in Rashi. Who swears to take money, not to absolve themselves? A sachir, like I just said, a worker, a hired worker. The same way, the nigzel swears, how much was taken? We know this guy stole, right? The guy stole. Adam saw this guy taking money out of my house. And he saw him. How much? How are we going to know? So he swears how much he took, and the rabbis believed him to. It's a special shvuah that you take money out. The same way, Rav Yehuda says, listen, you started a fire and you burned down my field. You know what? Under the stack there, I had my wallet and I had some valuables there. Well, how are we going to know how much was there? It was all hidden anyway. It's burnt up. He can also swear and collect. That's the point. That also takana nigga, the same takana, the same reform that we did for a person whose stuff was stolen, and we believe him with a shvuah, the same way with a fire. Person's believed to say, according to Rav Yehuda, he's believed to say, listen, this is what I had hidden underneath the stack or underneath whatever it was, hidden stuff. That's that he's believed there too, according to Rav Yehuda. We don't pass like Yehuda, but that's well, he says here also takana snigs al beisho. If you go like Rav Yehuda, I don't think we pass like Rav Yehuda. Okay. Now, maybe has this question. Also, kind of speaks about Masor. Masor is an informer. Somebody informed on me to the authorities. They said, I have all this money, I owe taxes or whatever it was. Now, he didn't directly cause the damage. He just informed on him. So, would you make it to kind of nixel there too, and he could swear to take money out from the informer because the informer cost him this law so low? I'll leave it on low down the low danina dina the garmi. Garmi is like grumma, but grumma is very indirect. It was an indirect damage. Here, caused the damage, I didn't do it via dime. The person who informed on you, or Gemara talks about later on, let's say a Bezdin made a mistake. They didn't really take the money out literally, but they obviously caused it. That's more of a direct cause. Here, the Masor, some informer, informed on the Goyim were trying to take unreasonable taxes, and they were trying to find stuff that people had in there hidden away, or the Jews. And this guy went and informed them. He says, yeah, I know Chaim Yankel over there's got a lot of money. He got some diamonds, whatever. And because of that, the Goyim took away his money. That's pretty much of a direct cause, right? That's called Garmi. So if you hold low that in Garmi, that you can't, since the man himself, the informer, did not take the money himself away from the Jew. So if you don't hold that loti boilach and the sirus nami lotanina, we can't, just because he was moser does not mean it's considered indirect, and you can't make a claim. Elikiti boilach aliba demand omar, the one who says that when you indirectly caused it, but it was more direct than grama because you caused it. You were like informed on him, or you paskined against him, and it was a mistake. In a case like that, also to kind of sneaks of a masor. So the one who says that you could make a judgment like that, we have a judgment against somebody who caused you this indirect damage. It's pretty direct because he informed on you, but he didn't physically take it himself. So if you hold that, also to kind of sneaks of masor. Also, if a man informed on me, I can make a ton. I could swear how much my loss was because of his informing on me. The mishtaba b'shok, you can swear and take the money out. Oh, no, that's the question. According to the one who holds Zainian, that it can be when you cause me pretty direct damage, but not physical. You didn't physically take it. You could make a judgment against him. Did they also make this halacha that when a person informed against me, I could swear how much my loss was and take it or not? That question stands. A man kicked somebody else's money box, like a safe. Shadye Benar, and it went into the ocean, went into the river. He kicked it, and went into the river. So what we call a total loss, right? Loss of money. Asamare. The owner came. This is how much money I had in the. This is what I had in the safe. You cost me this loss. Yes, Ravashi said to investigate this matter. What do you say over here? Do you just say that, well, if the owner of the safe says this is how much I had $1,000 in there, can he collect? Is this not the same our Mishnah? Is this not the same as our Mishnah? Our Mishnah said that even though the Chacham say what? That you're not chayiv on tamun if you lit a fire, the Chamer Molich of Yudah is if I burnt down your house, I got to pay everything that's in this. You came there from the autumn line, because people believe stuff about them. They have stuff in their house. You can't say it was hidden because all the windows were closed, the shades were down, you couldn't see, it's all hidden. People have stuff in their houses. That's what houses are. You got beds, you got chests of drawers, you got appliances, you got all kinds of chairs. So people keep stuff in their house. So there, even the Rabbanan Ramoda, that if you burn down somebody's house, you got to pay for the contents as well. So is this not the same thing? That when you kick the safe into the ocean, into the water, and it's gone, can he not swear about that and say how much people keep stuff in safes? That's what safes are for. People don't put their dishes and their food in the safe. They keep valuables in there. If he was asking for cash, yes, that's what people put in safes. They put cash in there. Idikatan says if he was asking for money, you're right. Then he could swear and say how much money it was and claim it. Halchav Maiskin, here speaking to Katan Maganisa, he says that he had jewels in the safe, not money. Would you say that people keep jewels in safe boxes? Today, I would say they do, right? But in that time, that safe box that he had obviously was not bolted into the ground because somebody came along and kicked it. It's more like a money bag, that people keep like some sort of a satchel or something that he kept money in, a box of some sort. Because the people keep the jewels in there or low. Take that question stands. So if it's something that's normally kept in the safe and the guy threw out the safe, yeah, you got to pay for what's in it. You believe me when you say, listen, it's like an Igso, you stole it from me, you got to pay what's in there, even though it's hidden, but people keep stuff in there. What happens if a man seems to make an outlandish claim? You burnt down my house. You know what? That's why they have. That's why they have. People who come around shamayim. Assessors to have a list of what's in your house for the insurance company. That's before it gets burnt down. But they didn't have that in those days. So you burnt down somebody's house, and the guy whose house burned down, oh, I had silver. When I get them with silver, I had a lot of silver cups and stuff like that. Inami. What's the halacha? Man says, listen, I had silver stuff, and I had very expensive things in there. We check it out. If he's a wealthy man, this like because a wealthy man would normally have silver cups. Yeah. Or he's a trustworthy person. People deposit stuff with him because he's a trustworthy person. So it's like, even if he's not rich himself, people leave things with him. So it's possible that there are silver cups there. Then he could swear what he had there. He gets give him a list. He swears that he had all these silver. He takes money. Below, but if he's not wealthy or people wouldn't give stuff to him, he's a poor man. I said I had silver and gold in there. You don't believe him, he's not believed. What's the difference between the Gazlan and the Chamsan? Rashi, Farshim say not we're talking about the Psukim, because in Psukim they can mean the same thing, but in the Lashon of the Chachamim, what's the difference between a Gazlan and a Chamsan? A Chamsan is a person who forcibly takes it, but he gives you money for it. He gives you money for it. The Gazlan just steals it. The Chamsan pays, he gives you money for it and steals it. Gazlan, lo yoav dami. Gazlan doesn't give money. Amalei, yoav dami. If he pays for it, Chamsan, of course, you call him Chamsan. Rabun said, we'll have this later on. Taluya v'zavin, if they forced him to sell, they hung him up and said, you want to die or you're going to sell this to me. It's a good sale. So how do you say that he's called a Chamsa just because he paid for it? He said, sell it to me. They paid him for it. It's a good sale. He's called a Chamsa. He said, if you force somebody to sell, that's a good sale. Why would you call that a Chamsa? It's lokash. Where in the plea of Zavin is where they forced him to sell, but then he agreed. Okay, I'll sell it to you. Then he agreed and he took the money. It's a valid sale. The Chamsan is a person who steals and he pays for it, but you didn't agree to the sale. Before he just took the money and ran and took your item and stole it. That's when the Chamsan and the Gaz. Says the Mishnah on Amid Beis. Blacksmith or anybody is banging with a hammer and a spark flew out. Well, that's pretty direct. Sure, he didn't mean for it to fall, but it went out from your direct actions, like shooting a gun, starting a fire, arrow, whatever. That's obviously the spark flew out. What did it do? It burned stuff down, right? That's the whole point. The spark went out and it burned down his pile of grain, whatever. The Hizik, you'll have to pay. Gomel, this case we had several times before. Gomel Shayatam Pishnan. A man was walking along with his camel and he overloaded it. He's passing Rishus Rabbim. When he was passing through the Rishus Rabbim, there was so much flax or linen stored on the back of the camel that some of the flax found its way into the store, right? Because it was overloaded. So as he walked by the door, some of it went inside the store. And it lit a fire. The flax caught fire from the candle of the Chanbani in the store. And then the camel went on, and with that fire on his back, he burnt down a house. Obviously, it wasn't unintentional, but that's how he did it. Because he overloaded the animal. He was one who took the fire. In other words, he was walking with Rishus Rabbim, but his flax went into a Rishus Yachid. So it's like he took a torch in there, and he lit. He didn't do it on purpose, but he's responsible for it. And he's chayv to pay. Let's say though the Chanbani put his lamp outside the store in Rishus Rabbim, then a Chanbani chayv because he put it's like a bor. He put a obstacle in Rishus Rabbim. Rabbi Yehuda b'ner Chanukah. Rabbi Yehuda says if it was a ner Chanukah which people leave outside for Sumanisa, then you're potter. But we don't pass it like Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Ravina Mishmeid Rav Shmamino. You see here in Rabbi Yehuda, since Rabbi Yehuda says ner Chanukah is potter. In other words, if the Chanbani stuck his fire outside, then the Chanbani is potter, which means that the Baal Gamal is chayiv. Since you see from Rabbi Yehuda that ner Chanukah mitzvah the mitzvah is to keep it within 10 tefachim of the ground. Why? So if you're allowed to keep the fire even above 10 tefachim, why did you say ner Chanukah is potter? If you're leaving a fire near Hanukkah outside, you should have left it much higher than any truck or in this case camel can reach. So it would have been out of harm's way. You should have left it higher up, higher than the camel and the camel's rider. You should have done that. Since Rav Yehuda says you're potter for Ner Chanukah, period, doesn't say that should have left it on top. The reason he couldn't give that solution, say, why didn't you have the fire higher than Ner Chanukah, is because the mitzvah must be to be b'toch hasara. That's what Ravina says. You see that he holds that the Ner Chanukah, the mitzvah is to have it within 10 tefachim l'gam. I'm reading more, so that's no proof. You can even leave the Ner Chanukah higher than 10 tefachim. What are you saying? Well, if that's the case, he should have left it. Why do you say that the owner of the store left the Ner Chanukah outside? Is potter. He should have left it at a higher distance, higher height, higher than the height of the gomel together with this rider. Given the mitzvah gosik, since he's maled in a mitzvah, the Rabbanan didn't bother him to make he'd have to get some sort of a platform or some sort of something for the Ner Chanukah to sit on high above. He's in the middle of a mitzvah. The Rabbanan didn't ask him. It's mitzvah Rabbanan. Rabbanan did not impose on him the extra toil of having to place it on a higher distance. Amar Rav Kana, Darash Rav Nasmar ben Yomei Shmeid Rav Tanchon. As long as we speak about Ner Chanukah shenicha l'malam mi'esrim am. If he had it higher than 20 amas, that means in a house, not in an apartment house where people are 100 stories high anyway. But if you have it higher than 20 amos, sul it's possible because sukkah ukamavri, like the halach of sukkah, because and like a mavri on Shabbos when it comes to Shabbos, because you don't notice that if the crossbeam on top is higher than 20 amas, you don't see it, so it doesn't have the tzura of a tzura of Pesach. Same thing with a sukkah. What's the reason why a sukkah, if it's higher than 20 amas, it's no good? If the schach is higher than 20 amas, because then the shade is not, you're not being shaded by the schach, you're being shaded by the walls, because the walls are so high. Well, the same thing over here, by Ner Chanukah, not for the same reason, but the same idea that if it's higher than 20 amas, people don't see it. There's no Persumei Nisa, and the whole reason for Ner Chanukah outside is for Persumei Nisa, so you wouldn't see it. That would be if it was like all one-story houses, but when people have apartment houses and there's 100 stories high and they have it in their window, there is Persumei Nisa, so then that would be okay. That ends the 6th parak, and now we begin what's considered usually to be the hardest parak in Baba Kama Merubah, right? Which simply means more. But there's a lot of Torah in this, and yeshivas, this is considered a very difficult parak. So let's start off by saying, what are the rules of kefil? We know that if you burgle something, if you burglarize, you got to pay double. What's the idea there? That if you show that you're more afraid of man than of God, if you just stole something, you stole it in broad daylight, the guy saw you, that's gesel. You got to return Hashem to gesel. There is no incarceration in the Torah for these kinds of things. Incarceration came much later. Jail and all that came. The rabbis instituted that modern thing. But in those days, you had to return it. If you burgled something, you stole something, you burglarized, you got to pay back double. The pasuk says you pay kefil. What's the reason for that? Because the idea is that you should lose what you wanted him to lose, right? You stole $100 from him, or a shore that was worth $100, and you got to pay back not only the shore, but you have to lose also. If you just pay back what you stole, you didn't lose anything, right? You're not punished effectively. There's no deterrence, as we'd say today. You haven't deterred anything, right? It's called proportional punishment, all right? Kefil is where you get a loss too. That's the only way to stop people, is by causing them a loss. Know that if you're going to burglarize something, not only will you not gain what you stole, but you're also going to lose something. All right, we're getting off. Meruba midas tashlam mekel midas now. So you pay kefil. What is tashlam arba v'chamisha? Tashlam, the pasuk says that if you stole an animal, pasuk says in the end of Parak Chafalef in Shmos, if you steal a shore or a set, that means if you stole an ox or a goat or a sheep, and you shechted it or you sold it, even though somebody else was involved, you could have instructed somebody to shecht it for you, you're still chayiv. Or if you sold it, selling it involves obviously another person. You can't sell something to yourself, that's not a sale. In order for there to be a sale, there has to be two parties. Okay, you did that. So you got to pay 5 times the owner, not kefil, 5 times For the shore, you pay 5 times. For the tzon, you pay for the tzon tachas you pay 4. That's a special halacha in the Torah, right? Now, if you find it in the hands of the ganav, okay, he hasn't shechted it or sold it, and he pays double. Now, the double is part of the 4 and 5. So if you stole something, not burgled it, you stole a guzzle something, there is no dollar behavior, because kefel is the double, and then you add on more 3 times for the shore and 2 times more for the set. So you have dalet behay is includes kefel. That's the idea. Includes the kefel. You burgled it, you burglarized it, you pay double. If in addition to that you also shechted it or sold it to somebody, you pay 4 or 5 dalet behay. Okay, so that's the basic idea here that you have to understand. Now, when is there also halacha of kefel? When you burglarized it, not by coming in the middle of the night, but you were given it to watch. Somebody said it to you to guard it. You're a shomer, and you claimed it was burglarized from you. It turns out you were the burglar. You kept it. You also pay kefel there too. There's also kefel dalet behay. So we say over here, the Mishnah says, "Meruba midas tashlim kefel midas tashlim yamayu." To kefil applies in more cases than dalet behay, isn't it? It's pretty obvious why. Dalet behay is only for a shore set, right? Inanimate objects or inanimate objects. Kefil, you pay for anything. I stole your shirt, stole your wallet, stole your car. Pay kefil. If I burglarized it, I got to pay kefil if I'm caught. Of course, if I moda b'knas is pater. If I came on my own, but if Adam came and were mechayv, I pay double. It's only for shore and so on. That's the possible we just quote. If you steal shore set, you got to pay 4 and 5. Okay, so there's more cases where there's kefil than when there's dalet behay. Dalet behay is only shore set. Kefil applies on anything. Let's say somebody burglarized it from a burglar. Burglar stole it. You have to pay kefil. But somebody burglarized it from him. So does he have to pay kefil? No. Why? Because the pasuk says in Perikop Beis, pasuk Vav, it says Beguna basically we're talking about shmira, but there also the shmira, the shamachinim also gets involved if it's towing tanis ganav. If he claims ganav, he could also pay kefil. So they're talking about, but if he's going to basically if he's stolen from the man, the owner, right? If he's the guard, he's like the owner at that point. Or if he stole it from somebody and then shechted it or sold it, also he doesn't pay tashlum yavar chamisha. So those are the differences there. So we say tashlum kefil applies in more cases than dalet behay, and then going to v'achar ganav doesn't apply for kefil or for dalet behay. Says the Gemara, what about this? I just said that kefil applies whether you burglarized it or whether you claimed after you were guarding it that it was stolen from, that it was burglarized from you. So there, this kefil. What maybe is there dalet behay there too? He doesn't say that there's a difference. He says the difference between kefil and dalet behay is that kefil applies to all items. Dalet behay is only on shore beset. Why don't you also say that tashlum kefil applies not only for a ganav but also for a towing tanis ganav? You claimed it was burglarized from you when you were authorized it only to guard it. That's only for a ganav, not for a towing tanis ganav. Loktan, he didn't say that. So there is another Messiah Rav Chia bar Abba. This is since he didn't make that difference. The Gemara is assuming that since he didn't make a difference between kefil and dalet behay, say not only is there a difference about kefil applies to all items and dalet behay only applies to shor b'seh, why don't you also say kefil applies even for towing tanis ganav? You claimed it was stolen, and dalet behay doesn't apply to towing tanis ganav. Since he didn't make that difference, it's a proof of Rav Chia bar Abba. It's a Messiah Rav Chia bar Abba. Rav Chia bar Abba. A towing tanis ganav would be cut. If something was handed over to you, deposited with you, you're a shomer, you claimed it was burglarized from you, you pay kefil. And if you slaughtered or sold it, meaning that towing tanis ganav is the same as a ganav, whether it's for a kefil or for dalet behay. Either way, you're chayiv because the Mishnah didn't make that difference. Since the Mishnah didn't make that difference, that shows that there is no difference. Dalet behay or kefil applies both to towing ganav as it does for ganav. Some say Messiah Rav Chia bar Abba. Our Mishnah proved through Rav Chia bar Abba, Rav Chia bar Abba, Rav Yochanan towing tanis ganav. So in other words, the Toin Tan is gone up because you pay kefil, and if you claim it was burglarized from you, and then you were caught shechting it or selling it, you pay dal v'hei. The Gemara says it's not necessarily a proof from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah doesn't talk about that. Niktani ein bein. Did our Mishnah say there is no difference between kefil and dal v'hei, except kefil applies to everything in the world, every item in the world, and dal v'hei only applies to the shor v'seh. That's the only difference. Didn't say that's the only difference. Maybe there are other differences. Maybe our Mishnah would also hold that the difference is that towing time applies to kefil, not dal v'hei. Ein bein doesn't say miktani ein bein. Meruba ktani. It says there are more cases of kefil than there are of dal v'hei. The obvious one being kefil applies to all items. Dal v'hei only applies to shor v'seh. Tana b'shari maybe left other items too. Maybe our Tana would also say that towing Tanaskana only pays kefil, doesn't pay dal v'hei if he stole it or if he sold it or burglarized or sold it or shechted it. Maybe our Mishnah would know that there's no solid proof from our Mishnah. Maybe our Mishnah didn't give an all-encompassing and say the only difference between kefil and dal v'hei is that kefil applies to all items and dal v'hei doesn't. Maybe there are other differences too, like in the case of towing Tanaskana. Shemitah Sashlomi Kefil Nagus. How do we know? How do we know? We said that Shemitah Sashlomi Kefil Nagus on all items, not only animals. I'll call Var Pesha. Now, this pasuk I'll call Var Pesha is in Perek Chav Beis, right? It's in Perek Chav Beis, pasuk Hey. I'll call Var Pesha. This is talking really about a person who was given an item to watch, and then he claimed it was stolen from him, right? This claimed it was stolen from him. It says there, I'll call Var Pesha. That's a cloud on anything. I'll shor chamor, I'll sell salma, shor chamor or a seh, right? Shor chamor says salma is an article of clothing. Prat, there's individual items that are mentioned. Those are specifications. Shor chamor says salma, those are individual things. I'll call aveda on anything that was lost, right? I'll call aveda asher umar, it was lost. Now, if you're simply a shomer chinam, you are really not responsible for Gnev and aveda. But here it's speaking about where you claimed it was stolen from you. I'll call it later. There's a chas v'kal v'kal. What's the rules of kal parakal? Iato don kelaprat's like the prat. Ma prat before shdavar metaltal. What are these items? Shor, chamor, seh, salma. What are they? They're davar that's movable. So gufa mama, and they're worth money. Right? They're worth money. All of them. I've called over metaltal. Anything that's movable and is worth money. Yatsu. What does this exclude? Yatsu karkash and metaltal karkash not movable. So therefore, there is no kefil on that because that really can't be stolen. Yes, avadim shikshakars. Avadim, if you steal an aviknani, you also don't pay kefil or dal. Surely no dal v'hei, but there's no kefil there. Why? Because they're mukash to karka. Aviknani is like karka because it says nisnachaltam asam v'bnechem acharechem. Yatsu stars including a star, a document itself. Even though it's movable, it's not worth money. It doesn't have any intrinsic value to it. It's simply a document with which you could collect money, but it doesn't have money itself. Yatsu hegdish, and also if it excludes hegdish, you don't pay kefil on that because re'eu ksiv. It says Yisham Shalim Shnaimareyu, when you claimed it was stolen, you were a Shamarchinam. And if you just said it was stolen from you and that's the truth and nobody contradicts you, you're potter. But if indeed it was burglarized, if indeed you stole it yourself, then you pay kefil. And it says the re'eu. So re'eu excludes kefish. So that's what it excludes. So the idea here is, how do we know that kefil applies to all these items? Because it says Shor Chamor says Salma. So just like those are things that are gufa mama and metalful, anything that's like that, excluding karka, aviknani, shtaros, and hegdish. Ima prat, the Gemara goes on, Ima prat, we're 4 lines from the bottom of the page in the Gemara. Ima wait a minute, shor chamor are animals who, when they die, nevela, when they are carcasses, the metame, when you touch them or carry them. Maybe it also means only animals in which when they die, their nevela is mitam magamasa, mitame abo ofoslo. Maybe not birds. Birds we had before, not mitam magamasa, right? So maybe birds aren't included. Maybe you wouldn't pay kefil if you stole somebody's bird. Umima samar, how can you say that? But Salmud it says even a garment. So anything, it doesn't. It's the garment, you can eat anything. We're talking within the category of animals. Begadim is begadim. That's clothing, right? Clothing, material, things like that. But we're talking about the animals. Maybe animals. When we talk about animals, maybe only ones that are mitam magamasa. So maybe birds would not be included. Because when you have here a klal and prat klal, and the prat is really four things that are mentioned, each one is darshan like an individual klal, prat, klal. Rashi brings down, because we're going to have Chizkiyahu later on, he's going to mention this later on the page, that we're going to have another klal, prat, klal. Not only this klal, prat, klal called Bar Pesha, but there's another klal, prat, klal here also mentioned. There's a klal, prat, klal. And there, darshan, when there's several items mentioned, the klal, prat goes on each one. So therefore, maybe only animals that are matam b'gamasa below for slope. No, you can't exclude ophos. Because if it would only want to include, it wanted to exclude birds, it would only say one of them. Why did it say shor, chamor, seh? Why did it say all that? Just say one of them, right? No, you can't say one prop. Why? Hey, which one are you going to say? We had a similar gemara to this before. Hey, which one should Hashem have said? Shor. If it would have said shor, maybe you're only chayiv kefil on what? Items which can be brought, animals which can be brought to the mizbeach, like shor, which animals? Shor, seh, and shor, seh, and ace, right? Only those animals, shor, ace, maybe only animals that are brought to the mizbeach. The animals are not brought to the mizbeach, not. Because, so say chamor, which can't be brought to the mizbeach, because of only animals that their firstborn male has kedusha, like a chamor, and like shor also, but not animals like a tzvi or ayal or other ones. Other, chayos would not be included, right? So therefore, it says shor to tell me, okay, to include other ones also, right? But still, maybe we don't know about birds. What do I have to say? You're right. So shor we come to include even animals that are not kaddish b'chora, right? If it only say shor, I think only animals that go on this bath. So it says chamor, but if it only say chamor, I would think only animals kaddish b'chora. Kamash one, we had the additional one of sor. Selomly. Why did it say seh? Shema milestone to bring to include birds, because it says seh, right? Be'ema lasui ofas Torah, but a seh is still a goat or a sheep is still a kosher animal. So maybe it only includes kosher birds. Maybe lasui ofas Torah, kosher birds. There's 24 kosher birds, 24 non-kosher birds mentioned in the Torah. All other birds are kosher. There's only 24. So, birds don't have simanim. It's not like we have a simon. There's simon that the rabbis darshan. But in the Torah, animals have to chew their cud and split hooves. Fish, they have to have fins and scales. By birds, it doesn't say the simanim. It just says these 24 are no good. Like ostriches are no good, right? Those are treif. Everything else is kosher. Our problem is we don't know what's what. We can't define them. So that's why we have some people don't eat turkey because they didn't have a Kabbalah for that, whatever. We're not sure what the animals are. But the point is maybe it only kosher birds go into the klal of kefil, etc., towing down skapte kefil, right? Domita said, which is a kosher animal, and what? And which ones then? Maybe only kosher birds, the matame got my vesabliya. Kosher birds, when they're in a vela, they're not matame magamasa, but they're matame in your throat. If you put it in your throat, they're matame you. Only kosher birds. Avalofas tmeim, but non-kosher birds, let's say an ostrich or something that we know is not kosher. Avalofos tmeis, less butuma. There's no tum at all there. The lo matamagadama, basically they're not matamagasvia. Lo, maybe if you stole somebody's ostrich and then you wouldn't have to pay kefil for that, or if it was given to you guarding it and you claimed that it was burglarized from you, then from kefil. The answer is kol ribuya. It says al kol dvar pesha. Kol dvar pesha. That's an amplification to include everything. So because of kol ribuya, we had a similar gemara to this whole thing before. Because we're called wherever it says call, that includes everything. In other words, cloud product cloud generalization, specification, generalization includes more. A call is even more amplified, includes even more. It says call includes even all kinds of birds. So wherever it says call is a ribuya, like a meiser by meiser sheni, when you have to bring your meiser sheni money to Yerushalayim, call. There it says call because they're shin b'chal prat. We don't darshan it as a amplification, including everything. You can buy any food you want. The time we learn B'nasata Kesef, you take the money. Like, you have your Meiser Sheni produce in Tel Aviv or Haifa, you got to bring it to Yerushalayim, so you transfer the Kedusha into money. You bring the money to Yerushalayim, and you buy food there. What do you buy? Whatever your heart desires. That's a klal. Anything. Then it says, it's got to be animals, wine, shechar, prat. That's the specification. And anything that you want. Then we have another generalization. Klal Prado Klal, it's got to be like the Prado. Ma problem for is pre below karka. What does that include? It's got to have parents, right? It's got to be a pre from a pre, and it grows out of the ground. That's considered animals too, grow out of the ground. They get nourishment from the ground. So it excludes, we said, water and salt and truffles and what's the word? Kamea. What's the English word for that? Can't think of the English word. Kamea and pitrio. Mushrooms and truffles, different kinds of mushrooms. They're considered to grow out of the ground. They consider to grow in the air. I don't know if that's really today. We know that that's the halacha today. But anyway, it's got to be something that grows out of the ground and has parents, like fruit. Fruit grow from a tree. They have the seeds and all that has parents, meaning it comes from something else in Bilakarka. Afkol prima Bilakarka. So the same thing, it includes that. So what are we saying? It's got to be like the prod. And we don't say it includes everything. You don't say it says there, anything you want. But yet we limit it to things in the klal of prod that it's got to be like the prod. Just like the prod, Boker, Tzon, Yain, and Shecher all have parents, so to speak. They come from something else. They're not just like salt or water that doesn't have parents and doesn't come out of the ground. It's excluded. You don't say it includes everything. No. Bakol klala. Here it says, Bichol, that's a klal. Kol is a ribuya. The word kol by itself here is al kol devar pesha. Anything that includes more, includes even birds. So that's his answer. The boy saying more, I could tell you, kol is also klal. Kol could also be a klal prat. Miu, kol the hacha ribuya. Normally, kol could also be a klal prat of kol, just like we saw by Meiser Sheni. Kol is the same as bachol, and kol could be it could be just a klal prat. It doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be a ribuy. But over here. You called the hacha. This call over here is a riboy. Why? Michdi ksiv. It says mikar kal parakal. It says kitin ishareu klal. Now the pasuk before says pasuk vav, right? Pasuk ches are called bar peshal shorachem or sel sama al kol sherabeda. That's the second klal parakal. The first one is in pasuk vav in parakal base. Kitin ishareu kesef okelim lishmor. We're going to base ish. So there, it's another klal parak. We had that. It says kitin ishareu klal. Anything. Then it says kesef okelim, money or utensils. Prat. Lishmor, to guard. So we have another klal prat there. So we have an extra klal prat of klal. We already have our klal klal. Therefore, the call here, al kol varpesha, is an inclusion because we already have a klal prat of klal. Al kol varpesha namil klal pratu. This is also al kol varpesha, the first pasuk that we had that we quoted on Amid Beis. Al kol varpesha. That pasuk, which is pasuk ches, 2 pasukim after pasuk vav in Parakal Beis. If that the drush is also for a klal paru klal, so what do we need it for? Why didn't you just say these pratim by the other one? Why didn't it say it over there? I'll call Bar Pesha. What do you mean? I'll call Bar Pesha. Come to teach me that this is a more inclusive. So therefore, we're saying now that the pasuk of Kitin Ishoriyeu, that's the klal prado klal. That's the klal prado klal for specific. It's got to be something like that, movables and all that. When it says I'll call the bar pesha on anything, that's not darshan klal prado. I'll call anything, even birds. I'll call the bar pesha. I'll shor, I'll chamor, I'll sell sama, even birds. So the Gemara will go on. We'll pick it up here tomorrow. Where are we? Yeah, I'll pick it up here tomorrow. Now that we said that kol ribuye, so what are the pratim for? If it's not a klal or prado klal, what are the pratim for? So the pratim for is like we explained to exclude karka and shtaris, etc. We'll pick it up from here. A few lines from the bottom of the page tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Have a good day, everybody.